Hello everybody out there and welcome back to another episode of The World's Finest. And for right now, The World's Finest is Independence. And for this episode, I've got 5 books for you guys. We've got Aliens vs. Zombies, issue number 4. We've got Mirror's Edge Exordium, issue number 3. Got Assassin's Creed, issue number 2. Back to the Future, issue number 2. And we're going to conclude it all with Birthright, The Returning Birthright, issue number 11. So let's start with Aliens vs. Zombies, issue number 4 of 5. That's right, this is the penultimate issue, everybody. And in this issue, you have, what was his name? Tavon, who is trying to steal all the alien technology from the aliens that are trying to save the human race from the zombie outbreak. And obviously, their plans are kind of foiled early on, and you'd think that would be enough. Wait till the end of the episode. So you've got the others that are fighting in the cemetery to get to that satellite. And they finally do get that satellite and they're ready to escape. And then guess what? Tavon shows up again and he takes the satellite. And he's like, if I can't have everything, then the whole world can go to hell also. And again, easily foiled. That was one of the interesting parts, that it was so easy to foil Tavon, not once but twice. And now it's up to the rest of them to, Tavon the second time's foil kind of involves zombies, let's put it that way. But then they get trapped. Long story short, they get trapped, and now they're surrounded by zombies. They have the satellite that can fix it all. Will they get free, or are they trapped forever? I left out all the dialogue in this book because there's some really important moments with the captain in this book. With the humans in this book. The only reason why I brought Tavon up is because he no longer matters. He's no longer part of the equation after this issue, which I'm glad. He was a very annoying person in this series. It's good to see him gone, even though it's only for one more issue. This is a really fun series. I'm enjoying it for what it's worth. I can't wait to see where this all concludes. Next, we've got Mirror's Edge Exordium, issue number 3. I love Mirror's Edge. So Faith failed her mission. Apparently somebody beat her to the vial, and she also never burnt down the lab. And she goes to Dojin and says, I failed. You know, somebody else took the vial before I did. And he said, and you didn't even burn down the lab. This is a failure, and I don't make mistakes. I think I made a mistake trusting in you. I think our business is done. And they go their separate ways. Now, Faith is pissed off about this. I'm surprised that she just walked away so easily at the beginning, but then it all makes sense by the end of this issue. So, Faith walks away, and she goes back to her friends, and the other group of runners shows up, and she's in a mood where she's already lost one job. She's not going to lose a race, so she's challenged to a race. She takes a race. One of the people trips up and almost dies. And everything okay, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the people trips and almost dies, and the other person that she's running against saves him. But Faith is so hell-bent on winning that she doesn't even pay attention to him falling. The only thing in her mind is to win. And she gets into an argument with, what was his name? Noah about it. And Noah's like, if you can't work as a group, if you can't take care of your own, maybe you don't belong here. And she actually goes back to Doji and says, I promise I won't, mess up again. Give me another chance. And he's like, I'm not usually one to give second chances, but fine. You have 3 days to find the vial. Fail me again and there'll be consequences. And then she meets up with the oldest runner, because that's who's on the cover, and it turns out that she's not the only one that visits the man. Also, the other woman does. Oh, I forgot what her name. I keep forgetting what her name was. But anyway, he teaches them a little lesson in teamwork and working together, and that they're really part of the same goal. And then the end of the issue happens. I'm not going to spoil that, but let's just say they are in a very precarious situation by the end of this issue, the two of them. All right, we're going into Titan Comics now with Assassin's Creed issue number 2. Issue number 1 had, I forgot what her name was, Charlotte, going into the what's that word? Animus, and she's supposed to find information out before the Templars do, in order for them to get to the artifact before the Templars. And she's inside. She's in Salem, 1692, and we get to see her ancestor, who wasn't exactly one of the nicest assassins, by the way. He's in Salem looking for the Eden apple, and he meets up with another assassin who's a younger assassin, and she's supposed to show him around Salem, and together they're supposed to find the Eden apple, and then he's supposed to bring it back to London. And we find out the Templars are there as well, so they're looking for the Eden apple, and they actually are using the assassins, or they're using they're using the assassins to find it for them, and then they're going to basically turn. It's basically a big old trap that's set up, and what's the name? Charlotte's having a hard time being in the Animus so long, and it's starting to wear on her body, but they don't care. They keep pushing her, and she keeps pushing herself to stay in it also. And there's a really huge twist at the end with one of the prisoners of the Templars. But let's just say magic actually might be involved in the great town of Salem. I enjoyed this issue. I can't wait for issue 2. If you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, this is definitely something you'll enjoy. If you're not a fan of Assassin's Creed, you might not enjoy it as much. But still, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. The story arc is very interesting. Alright, Back to the Future issue number 2. We got 2 new artists, and we got 2 new stories. First story is about Doc Brown, and he's talking to his kids once again in the past. And he tells them about a time where he had to erase his own future in a way, and this is before the DeLorean. This story kind of fell a little short. The government is looking for a time machine before Doc invented a time machine, and he decides to help the government or the army out, and he has this, I don't know if it's an actual time travel dream or if it actually does happen, but Doc believes it does happen, and he actually writes a note to himself and sends it through his other type of time machine, and he changes his own future in a way by warning himself not to let the government in, and the only reason why he remembers it is he left a note for himself. An interesting story, but not something that really grasped me. The second story is Marty trying to find supplies at Doc's place for a science project, because he was late on his science project. I like the artwork a little bit more in this story, and he's going through all of Doc's interesting gadgets, and he's like, why would you have this, why would you have that, and in the background Doc is playing with something, and then it turns out in the end that, and this really isn't a spoiler here, it doesn't ruin any type of story, but Doc kind of helped Marty with his science project without really helping him. He kind of helped him out, and it ends with him finding the DeLorean. He was in the market for a car, and it's the person that owns the car who's selling it, and he's like, no, I'll take it whenever you're free. I would definitely love to look at the car. So it's kind of a little set up for obviously the time travel DeLorean. I like this issue, but not any groundbreaking stories yet. I was hoping for a little bit more with Back to the Future, but still, if you're a fan of the series, the first issue was okay. This issue, again, it's just side stories. It's meant to be a mini-series, and then they're going to go on with a full ongoing series if this mini-series sells good. I think the stories are worth a read. Not something groundbreaking, not something crazy awesome, but definitely something to read. And finally, we've got Birthright, issue number 11. Oh, I've missed this series. This was a really great one. This one had Mikey telling Brennan a story about his first meeting with the not with Lore, with the Nevermind, was it? I want to make sure. Yeah, the Nevermind. And He's telling a story on how the dragons turned on Lore because they found out that Lore was using them for their blood, and his journey to kind of get into that war. And he stops off at this town. This girl got kidnapped, and they're begging him for help because they know he's the chosen one. And Rook doesn't want him to go because he doesn't want, it could be a trap. He doesn't listen to Rook, obviously, and he comes face to face with somebody who Rook was polishing up to be the chosen one, but apparently wasn't, and she had the Nevermind. The artwork in this book is awesome, by the way. I love the artwork in this book. And you see, Mikey's brave at a very young age. He just wants to do this so that he can go home, honestly, though. And Mikey is a warrior 2 years into being in Tyrannos. And he saves the girl. He brings her back. The family is so appreciative and so happy. But Rook is, well, you tell me. And really, it's just, I guess it's going to be, this story arc is going to be Mikey giving stories of how he grew up in Tyrannos. And then we find out something about Brendan, which I will not spoil for this issue, but let's just say Brendan doesn't trust Mikey anymore because of what happened in the previous story arc, in the previous volume, the previous 5 issues. And he might have a little bit of help in the background. I'm not going to say by whom or by what or anything. We didn't get to see anybody else in this issue. No mom, no dad, no Fly or whatever her name is. This was just a specific, well, we see her in the flashback, but not in present day. I am enjoying this issue. Mikey and Brendan are now headed to the city, take out the next mage. This series is so good. I love it. It's one of my top favorite stories out of Image right now, right next to Paper Girls and We Stand on Guard and Spawn and Walking Dead. Birthright is an awesome series. If you haven't read anything of Birthright yet, check out the first 2 volumes. I would definitely not recommend jumping in here. Birthright is a very point A to point B story right now, kind of like Walking Dead. So you got to start with the first trade paperback. If you haven't read anything yet, go to the first trade paperback. It's dirt cheap. I believe it's about $10. It's the first 5 issues. And trade paperback your way up to this point now. This is starting volume 3. This is a really worthwhile series that you guys will love. I am loving Birthright. Since issue 1, I am so glad Brant recommended this to me. It is just a really great hero story, and I highly recommend you guys check this story out. And with that, that's it for this review, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about any of the books I talked about in this video. Links in the description as always. Check them out at your leisure. There are a bunch of places where I do a lot of work on, and if you want to get that full effect of me, that's where I am. ComicFrontline.com, Zone4Podcast.com, Last Ember Press, and Frontline Gaming Zone. We are working tirelessly to give you guys top content each and every day, so you have something to look forward to every day you come on YouTube or every day you have surfed the web. Till next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I will see you guys really soon in the next video.